Today on Bridge City Sessions Gear Reviews, we're going to be taking a look at the Spiff plugin. Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to the channel. My name's Taylor and we do all sorts of stuff on this channel like live band sessions and gear reviews and demos just like this one. If you like this video, please hit the like button and consider subscribing. This plugin is a really interesting plugin. I've actually been using it a lot in my mixing recently, and I would describe it as not only a transient designer, but also a transient designer mixed with an intelligent EQ and maybe like a multi-band compressor or something like that. Again, this just falls in line with the newer plugins that are coming out that are like intelligent plugins. You know, plugins that take a lot of the guesswork out of using them, or plugins that do really complex things but have a really simple user interface. So like I said, I've been using this plugin a lot in my mixing recently, and I've mainly been using it on drums, like the snare and the toms mostly. And what I like doing with this plugin is really just getting that slap out of the drums. So what I'll do is I'll actually run this after my EQ. So my effects chain for pretty much all of my drums goes EQ, and then I go into Spiff, and then I go into my compressor, and then sometimes I'll go into like reverb after that or something, you know, whatever other effects I want to use. But pretty much in general, I always go EQ, transient designer, compressor. And in this case, I've been using the Spiff as my transient designer. So what's really cool about it is you can set an EQ curve so that when it's designing the transients, it'll actually bring out those frequencies more than others. So in this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to demo it on a track that I've been mixing recently, and I'm using it on the snare and the tom tracks. And we'll play around with the different features, and I'll show you, like, this plugin gets pretty deep. I mean, you can do a lot with it compared to most transient designers. So we'll go through all the different features, and I'll show you what they do. And yeah, let's do it. Okay, so I have my track loaded up here in Reaper, and I'm just going to go through the drums and show you how I'm using Spiff to shape the transients in the toms and the snare. I'll just show you the beginning of the song, and then we can isolate the drums and kind of go one by one here. Okay, so you can hear there's a lot of crazy drum fills going on in the beginning of this song, and not only that, but there's 4 guitars. You know, essentially there's the intro guitars and then the rhythm guitars. There's bass. There's a lot of stuff happening in the beginning of the song, and the way I went about getting the snares and the toms to pop through the mix is by using Spiff to shape the transients. So let me show you how I do that. Here I have the snare top track. And you can see nothing crazy with the EQ. I'm just cutting off some low end, raising up the high end a little bit, notching out some of those harsh frequencies. And then next to my chain, I have Spiff. And this is what I was talking about here. This EQ curve, it EQs the transient shaper, if that makes sense. So essentially what it's doing is it's emphasizing these frequencies while it's shaping the transient. So let's see what this sounds like with well, here, let me go through the rest of my effects chain and then we'll focus on Spiff. And then after Spiff, I have a saturator called Head Crusher. This is a free plugin. It's actually really cool. I do have the paid version of this plugin. I'm just too lazy to go through and replace all the free version. I like the free version so much that I ended up just buying it. But yeah, very cool plugin. This isn't the plugin that I'm reviewing, so I'm going to skip over it, but check it out. Very cool. And then I have just the Waves DBX 160. This is my favorite compressor for drums. I love the way it makes drums sound, and it's really easy to use. It doesn't take much effort to dial it in. So, yeah, you can kind of see where I have this set. And here, let's just solo the snare top, okay? Here's what it sounds like with it off. So you can really hear what a difference that makes, like on those blast beats right there where the snare's really quiet. It totally just brings the whole transient up. let's talk about all the different controls here and what they do. So I already talked about the EQ band, and you could just use this to shape the tone of the transient shaper. I think I said that right. Anyways, whatever. It's an EQ band. It works a lot like an EQ band, just in the context of transient shaping. So let's start with the Big Daddy knob right here, and you can use the mouse wheel to turn it, which I love. Perfect. Hey, and if you hover, you get a cool instructional. That's a really good thing to know. I wish more plugins did that. What this does is, this is the amount of transient shaping that you want to apply. So here, let's just play. I'm just going to loop this region that has a lot of snare. So you can see how much that actually affects the transients. Okay, so let's play it back. I'll set it about here. That seems to be a good, healthy amount. And then I'll play with the sensitivity. Sensitivity of the transient detection. Higher sensitivity means more transients are detected. Spiff is level independent, so this setting does not depend on the gain staging. Oh, interesting. So essentially what that's saying is that you don't have to have the track at a certain level going into the plugin. A lot of plugins are super sensitive to gain staging, and they don't work correctly if your signal going into the plugin isn't at the correct volume. So that's cool to know. Here, let's play that back. And essentially you're just telling it which transients you want it to grab and which ones you don't. So for example, if I wanted to go in one of these parts where it's picking up a lot of the toms, I could go in and really dial that in. And you see how it just cutting back the sensitivity stopped it from shaping the bass drum transients that are bleeding into the snare drum track. Decay is pretty self-explanatory, but basically it's going to hold on to that transient for longer if there's more decay. So let's listen to that. Alright, moving on to sharpness. High values can be useful for rich and polyphonic sound sources such as piano and other acoustic instrument. Okay. So I don't know what that means. Let's just try it. So I'm not noticing a ton of difference with the sharpness. It could just be that it's more apparent on other instruments and not so much drums because there's such tight transients. I'm not sure. Let's see what decay does. So adjust the difference in decay times between high and low frequencies. Lower values shorten decay time towards higher frequencies and vice versa. In the center position, the decay times are equal at all frequencies. Interesting. Let's see what that does. So essentially what this is letting you do is letting you bias the decay towards the higher the low frequency. And that could be kind of cool if you want, like, if you want it to smack but you want the high end to drag out a little bit, or vice versa. Maybe you want the high end to be really like slappy but you want the low end to like resonate a little bit. That's really cool. I haven't been using that button much, but I'm going to start using it a lot more now. Delta's just showing you the difference in between what the dry signal sounds like and what the process signal sounds like so that you can hear what the plugin's actually doing. Check this out. This is pretty cool. So that's everything that the plugin's adding. That's a really cool feature. And then resolution, let's put that on ultra. I don't know what that means. Let's look. Oversample. Oversampling is good, right? It sounds like a good thing. Amount of spectral oversampling, higher values result in a smoother frequency response and better accuracy, especially at lower frequencies. But it could be demanding on the CPU! Okay, so we're just going to put that all the way up. Window, I'm not even going to mess with it. In phase mode, minimum. not even gonna mess with it. I'm sure it does some really cool stuff that I will never use or understand. But yeah, this is essentially how I've been using this plugin on the drums. So let me show you some toms here. So that's what the toms sound like right now. And same things going on here. Just an EQ, Spiff, and then the compressor. Let's just look at Spiff here and see what it's doing. We're gonna focus on the high tom right now. Oh hey, I missed some controls here. So you can use this in stereo, or you can run the program in mid-side also. So I think this stuff is probably more if you're using it on like a stereo track or like a master bus or a drum bus or something like that. And that way you can kind of dial it in per side. But I'm just using this on a mono track, so not really relevant to me. So that's how Spiff works. Really cool plugin. I use it all the time. I highly suggest it. So that's going to be it for the Spiff plugin review. It's a really awesome plugin and I use it all the time. I use it way more than I use a normal transient shaper now. Pretty much anytime I'm doing drums and I need to bring them out a little bit, or I need to make them a little bit more smacky sounding. Pretty much anytime I need to add some more slap to the drums, I pull out this plugin. So what do you guys think about the Spiff plugin? Is this something that you would use in your mixes? I think it's really cool and I really enjoy using it, and I'm excited to see what Oeksound comes out with next. Alright, that's going to wrap it up. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button and consider subscribing. I'll see you next time.